my fellow Americans. Folks, the people of this nation have spoken. They've delivered us a clear victory, a convincing victory, a victory for we the people. We've won with the most votes ever cast on a presidential ticket in the history of the nation. 74 million.
Welcome to another episode of Bridging the Gap podcast. This is JR alongside Scumbar. What go on, Scum?
Then is a jar, you know?
A jar.
Yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2 is a jar.
And I guess that joy that you're feeling has nothing to do with the just concluded presidential election here in the States.
Actually, it may have everything to do with it, you know. may have everything to do with it. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's a, well, what can I say? It's been a while counting, but the counting seems to be, you know, worth the while, worth the wait.
So you are saying continue the count, don't stop the count.
Well, I'm saying that give Biden and Kamala Harris the reins. I mean, obviously, you know, there's a obvious loser who is upset to lose, which was expected. He did say, you know, but at the end of the day, I mean, the business of the people must go on. The people have, the voice of the people must be heard. The people have given a mandate and it must follow through.
Well, that is true. That is so true, you know. We see we're on Tuesday, November 3rd, Wednesday actually, not Tuesday, but Wednesday about between 2 and 3 a.m., the president said that he had won the election, even though the votes weren't all tabulated. They were still counting. Now we're hearing about voter fraud. We're hearing about, you know, people trying to steal the election.
But bear in mind that Trump actually had this narrative all planned out from before. You know, he did tell you that he's not going to come out, and he was already trying to do everything to stop mail-in votes. He was trying to whatever he could do to sabotage the postal system. And I mean, it's no surprise really that he's now having a number of lawsuits at the courts and saying that he's not conceding. However, the election and America, the whole presidency, is bigger than Trump. I mean, number 45, but he doesn't want to let go. But I mean, obviously the people have spoken. I don't know what else he's going to do.
Well,
really.
45 a shoot, you know. 45 a fire, but I mean, this election though, what I'm impressed about, and I hope the Democrats are paying attention to it, is the voter turnout within the black community. Because we saw what happened in 2006 where, in 2016, where the voter turnout wasn't as high, and we see what happened. We had this narcissistic bully ended up being in office.
This person that is actually promoting racism, promoting white supremacy, telling people to stand back, hold on. I mean, it is rather unfortunate, but honestly, yes, I do think that there's a lesson for the Democrats to learn, and I think we as a people overall, not just blacks, I think if we are to look at it how we should look at it really, even though the Democrats have won, even though, you know, in politics, sad to say, we normally tend to go with the lesser of the two evils, there is still enough to say that there is points for concern, because for me, it shouldn't be this close. Based on what was delivered by Donald Trump, you can't go. I mean, this is a country that is built on the backs of immigrants. Donald Trump himself have at least one parent that is an immigrant, and the deposit that is coming out, the type of hatred, the type of message, the division that has caused by his presidency, I really think that there is a lot that needs to be done. And while I am somewhat comforted by Kamala Harris, especially going into the White House, I am still concerned because I am still at a point questioning the fact that we already had a black president, yet still there's so much question as to what has been done to level the playing field, to bring us to an equal playing field, so to speak. And the fact that, remember now, 2016 that you referenced, people voted for Donald Trump mainly because they did not, a lot of the persons voted because they just did not like the fact that a black man had entered the White House.
Well, you say a couple of things where I want to address. One is that you think the election shouldn't have been this close. Excuse me. And I hear that, and I'm going to tell you that I'm not surprised, because it's not like these white supremacist group or these racists just, poof and disappear. They went underground because it wasn't politically correct to be overtly racist, but they didn't disappear. These people who from ever since did not recognize black persons as a human being didn't just grow up and went away. So that is not surprising to me. And the next thing that you have to pay attention to is the fact that Donald Trump got 4 million more votes, over 4 million more votes than he got in 2016. So for anybody who thought that 2016 was a fluke, racism is not my concern now going forward. Is the fact that within a 4-year period after having a black president, we have a black woman vice president whose parents, both of them, are immigrants. So my concern is how much the racism is going to turn up in the next 4 years. Because what Donald Trump has shown is that the more outlandish and the more racist you can be, is the more his base is riled up, I should say. So that is my concern going forward for the next 4 years. How do the Democratic Party keep engaging the black community and also the Hispanic community and the white community to ensure that we don't end up in a situation worse than we did in 2016? Because the next person coming after Donald Trump, there is a blueprint that said the worse you get, the worse you do, is the more likely you're going to be voted in. Because 230,000 people being killed will die because of coronavirus. And, nobody wants to talk about the racist overtones, the disrespect meted out to black people. We see where, George Floyd, we see where Breonna Taylor, and we say even Donald Trump as president, with the Central Park 5, where he has yet to say, I made a mistake or I'm sorry. But at the same time, he's on national TV saying he has done more for black people than any president, bar Abraham Lincoln. So my concern is not about Donald Trump, because he's fired. My concern is the next 4 years and who the Republican Party is going to put up to run as president, and if whatever gains were made between 2008 and 2016 was wiped out completely. So that's what I'm concerned about,
Understandably, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm getting at really, and I must say, not only blacks voted for the Democratic or voted for Biden and Kamala Harris. So I want to, big up those white people, big up the Mexicans, big up Hispanics, big up Asians, big up everybody. And of course, Kamala Harris is not just Jamaican, so we have to big up her Asian. But the thing is, while I acknowledge that yes, it is about the behavior of Donald Trump that is actually spurring on this whole racism and the white supremacy, white privilege, my concern is with the people looking on and those that are actually riled up because of it. And I am hoping that just as much as there are some that even went out and was a part of the protests going on with Black Lives Matter movement, I am hoping that my hope was that more of these persons would have voted for Biden. And Biden is the man coming out now and preaching unity, saying that, listen, this is not a time to be against or looking at anybody as enemies, but a time to come together, a time for healing. And that is what I would want to say, and I think that all well-thinking individuals would actually want to see that. So that is what I'm hoping for. So yes, there's going to be a concern as it relates to the next election, but I'm saying that even now, the footsteps, the footprints, the movements, the things to do on the list for a Biden and a Kamala Harris, I think is going to definitely determine which way we go. And I'm saying that they have to start from now, setting a guideline that actually brings us as a people closer together.
But we say where that is going to be a problem, where it is right now, you have a sitting president who is yet to concede that he has lost, and he has his minions on the air saying that the election has been stolen. And we do see videos out on the internet where these white supremacists or these supporters of Donald Trump are saying, hey, we are just waiting for the race war, we are waiting for the civil war, we're just waiting for the go-ahead. So, yes, Biden can say, I'm all for unity and all this, but another thing that we need to pay attention to is majority of Donald Trump supporters are not college-educated people. So they're not listening to Joe Biden, and they don't want to hear what Joe Biden has to say either way. So his message of unity is going over their head, under their arms, wherever, other than in them head. So we have a real problem going forward. And one of the persons that are supposed to be on the forefront, especially since he has been walking around talking about he has done the most for black people since Abraham Lincoln, why isn't he saying, hey, people, chill, let us grow together as one? He's not saying that. And that is where the problem lies. And hence my concern going forward for the next 4 years, whoever the next candidate that the Republican Party put out is going to be, as I believe, worse than Donald Trump. And we'll only see this thing getting worse. Yes, the Democratic Party have to engage whites and blacks and Hispanics. But what we see happening is that a lot of the urban areas where black people live is where majority of the votes that push him over the edge come. The Democratic Party needs to do more to engage blacks in America and make them feel like, well, there is a path to the American dream for us. Because no matter what, we have been working hard with all the roadblocks and obstacles that have been placed in our way. We still overcome. We still go to Harvard Law School. We still own businesses. We still own houses. But how many of us are benefiting from?
I get your point, and that is what I was making reference to in my critique somewhat of Barack Obama's tenure as president. There needs to be much more substantial.
Well, the Barack Obama presidency, I can't say I fault him because we see where the Republicans.
So what about the vacancies as it relates to judges? Because Trump have a host of judges now for his backing that he has put in place.
And guess what happened? During the time of the Obama presidency, the Republicans controlled the House and would not. Their main goal was to repeal Obamacare and to ensure that Barack Obama become a one-term president. Nothing but obstruction in the House. In the Senate, the only major thing that was able to pass is Obamacare, and it was because the Democrats controlled the Senate and the House during that time.
So what I'm saying is that now that there is a Joe Biden, and I'm hoping that it was not just to win the election, but that he does care about us as black people and just about everybody else, not just blacks, as I would have stated earlier. and being assisted by Kamala Harris a more substantive thing, because obviously, as it relates to housing in America, there have been obviously a sidebar, there is a no entrance, so to speak, for blacks in a lot of these communities that those type of things need to go. Obviously, if you are going to have two children, for example, and one is always getting a particular amount for allowance or access to go to this particular type of a school, while the other one is always being sidelined or put to not to go to school today and go and do some chores, then you're actually putting one at a disadvantage. So you have to do more to bring that child that would have been disadvantaged to the similar level or like level, to level the playing field as to where the other child would have gone. So that is what I'm looking for. So I'm not even so much about what is going to happen for the next election, but the things that are going to be put in place by this current administration, this president-elect and vice president, as it relates to building and bringing up people of a minority to the level that they should be.
Yeah, but I some of the things that I don't want it to just be ceremonial. I don't want them to just appoint some people here or appoint some people there. I hear Donald Trump said that he had a platinum plan program, whatever that was, going to invest $500 billion in minority communities, especially black communities. And I would want to see, if that was true, the Democrats coming up with something like that. Because it's going to take something on that large scale to be able to move us in a position where we can now say, all right, we are in the starting block.
Yeah, so that
because
would be
right
something
now
to
what
bring
we are
us.
doing is marking out the field to run. So we have to mark the lines and then now come back at the starting line to run. We're saying we want them to mark the lines and put us in the block and let us run. Give us the opportunity to run instead of us having to create the field, use all that energy, cut the grass, mark the lanes, and then expect us to run right after. Help us out. And we want to see something substantial, not just for one or two, but for the community, for minorities and all, especially black people that have said and has been saying all along, all we want is an opportunity. All we want is an opportunity. Nothing more.
Another thing I think needs to be addressed by this current administration too is the whole electoral college. I think this is something that needs to be addressed. I think it's high time now that the popular vote is what stands, as is what stands in any other democracy, any other democratic state. I don't see why there's this hole, because it's obvious that it is because of the electoral college why this particular election could have looked the way that it does, could have been so close. And this is obviously what he was banking on, because Trump is particularly upset with the count in Wisconsin, Michigan. There are a number of states that he thought that is so white that he's saying that no, it can't be. So they have been banking on the electoral college to deliver for them,
Well,
even when they don't win outright.
The reason why the electoral college thing is going to be so difficult to get rid of is because in the South, especially, is where you have these white old millionaire men who are holding on to that because they think that it gives them an advantage. So they won't do away with it, and unless the Democrats get control of the Senate, that is not something that is going to go away anytime soon.
Well, they need to push for it, and similarly push for the unity, even though I understand what you're saying as it relates to the education level of a lot of the Trump supporters. They don't even really think about anything that is said by Biden. However, we can't just leave it up to chance or say, all right, they're not going to care. We have to keep on pushing it, and I think electoral college is a very, very important piece that we need to constantly push to be dismantled and taken away.
The problem,
it is not something that we can just say, all right, because they don't want it, we're going to have to work with it.
Well, me and you might understand how the electoral college works, but majority of who should be the ones talking up about it, I guarantee you don't have any idea how it works. And so, all they know is that if you vote, and if whoever wins that state gets the electoral votes in that state, there's more to it than that. But at the end of the day, there hasn't been an educational program to inform people what it is about and how it works. And I think that's where it's going to start from. But like most politicians, the more people are in the dark and the more people who don't know about what's going on, is the more likely they are to get re-elected and to pass whatever laws they want to pass. So for a lot of them, a lot of time, people being in the dark is what works for them.
And that is what has to change. The political discussion, the political education has to change. And as you mentioned, that even as it relates to COVID, not a lot is even being said now as it relates to building our immune system and fighting off these viruses.
So before we end it, I just want to ask you, what are you looking forward to for the new administration, Kamala and Joe Biden? And how do you see Joe Biden doing one term, or are you seeing him doing 2 terms? And do you think Kamala Harris will be able to run as president in 4 years' time, and will she be accepted?
All right, so I see, well, I'm hoping that it will be a 2-term for Biden, hopefully. And
But he's 78 years old,
if
so in 4
there's
years'
anything,
time, he'll be 82.
Nonetheless, I'm looking to 8 years. However, if it is that for any reason, at any point during his tenure, he's unable to manage, I'm expecting Kamala to pick up the mantle and move on with it. And yes, if needs be, if come 4 years' time she has to run, I'm hoping that she will actually take up that challenge. As to whether or not she will win, I am not sure. Now, as it relates to what I'm looking forward to again, yes, I am still looking forward for that constant attempt at unifying America, because we all deserve equal opportunity, and we all deserve to be treated as human beings, not 3/5 of a human being, but everybody needs to be treated as human being and given the same opportunity, the same treatment. It cannot be that because of the color of my skin, I am shot while another man is being fed bun and cheese, juice, and is basically escorted, even at times without handcuff, while just the color of my skin gets me a knee to my neck for 8 minutes. It cannot happen.
Well, we want to end on a positive note. So we want to say congratulations to the president-elect and vice president-elect, and even more big up the vice president, because she has, some representation for Jamaica.
And us as black people.
And us as black people as well, yeah.
It can be done.
And like you said, we need to push the unity card, We really need to try, and because at the end of the day, we are outnumbered. There's 64% population white, so, we are outnumbered. But let us see where it goes. Once again, thank you for joining us, Bridging the Gap podcast. I'm JR alongside Scum.
Thanks for watching.